Hi there, welcome to part 3 in our CB Agent Tools orientation series. Now we'll cover editing a booking and a trip's details. So you'll see when you are in a trip that it's composed of a few different parts. Up here is the summary info, and these are things that pertain to the entire trip. And below that are each of the individual bookings that comprise the trip. So we have the Royal Caribbean Cruise here, which is the primary booking and the reason why the guests are going on the trip in the first place. And then there's this insurance policy that covers the trip, and then this hotel, which is a 2-night pre-stay before the cruise. So we can edit anything in the summary that is hyperlinked. So a hyperlink is when it's highlighted in blue here. And first I'll draw attention to the start and end date. So you can see the start and end date is an amalgamation of all of the constituent bookings here. So even though the cruise is the primary booking and leaves October 10th, the hotel is on October 8th. That is the earliest one, as well as the insurance policy that covers it. So the start date is on October 8th, and also vice versa, because just because the hotel ends October 10th, the actual end of all of the items is the 17th, and so that's the end date here. So the trip start date is always going to be the earliest date among all of the different bookings, and the trip end date is going to be the latest date of all the return dates of all of the member bookings. Now, to edit the contact person, you just go ahead and click the hyperlink, and you have a few options. You can obviously save changes or cancel out of this screen, but you can also edit and switch. So edit is if you wanted to, this is just like add a reservation. If you wanted to change this person's details, then you could click edit. If you got the address wrong or the email address wrong or the phone number wrong, you could go ahead and change those. But if you wanted to switch to an entirely different person, you'd want to click switch. So make sure you only use edit if you want to keep this person but just change their details. You don't want to overwrite any of your contacts, because we'll be releasing modules that let you market to them later, and you don't want to lose valuable email addresses because you clicked switch when you meant to click edit. If you wanted to edit this person's details, let's say we wanted to change the email address that they were using, you would click edit and go ahead and type a different email address here and save. And you can see those details have been updated now. Now that's the new contact email. And likewise, if we hit switch here, you would start by typing the last name of the person you wanted to switch to. I don't know if I have anybody else in here. And you could hit search, and if you don't see the person that you want to use, this is the person we already have, you can click add and add a new contact information right in this screen here without having to go through the client screen. So keep that in mind. It's available to you. I'm going to click cancel because we're happy with having this contact person here. Now, itinerary is self-explanatory. You just click it, and you're allowed to type whatever you want in here, and just click save to save the changes to it. Changes made to this booking, you won't be using this screen much. It's very, very granular, but at any time something's changed on your booking, we can keep track of it. And that can come in handy if you don't remember what a previous invoice used to look like or something to that effect. We can help you out with that by using this screen. Total paid to agent, these are the commissions paid to you. If this is your booking, you will see this line here, and when you click on it, you'll be presented with a list of commissions that have been paid to you for any of the member bookings of this trip. We just entered this trip in the last video, so we don't have any commissions on it quite yet. Now, let's edit some booking information. So let's say that we add a person. We called Royal Caribbean and we added a third person to this cabin. Let's go ahead and click that edit on the booking that we want to edit. So in this case, the Royal Caribbean booking. And you can see the screen that we're provided with is similar to the trip screen, where we have a summary for the booking, and then we have a breakdown of the constituent parts of that booking. So to give you an idea of some of the things that we could do, we could click modify here and check the info page, modify the confirmation number, number of nights, things of that effect. In this case, we want to modify passengers. We've added somebody, so we're going to click modify. Now, again, we have edit and replace. Replace is like switch for contacts. Edit would be editing this individual person. Replacing would be replacing them with someone new entirely. In this case, we want to add a passenger. So I'm going to go ahead and click Add. And we're prompted to enter the last name of the person that we want to add. And then you click Search. Now, we don't have an autocomplete here because we want you to have a little more control over it now because you're editing an existing booking. So we slow things down intentionally a little bit. So go ahead and click Search, and you could see the different potential people that you could have listed here. This is the person we want to add. You can click them and then click Save. If you wanted to add somebody new entirely that hasn't been added to the database before, it's not somebody you've booked before, you can click Add and do that there. I'm going to go ahead and click Save, and you can see our new passenger is saved. To make sure that change gets saved to the booking itself, just click Save here. Now you can see we have 3 passengers in the booking. Now, when you add a passenger, generally the price changes. So let's go ahead and take care of that now. We're going to go ahead and modify the pricing. And the vendor price is going to go up because we just added a third person. So let's say the vendor is now charging something like this. And we can see the old price here and then the new price. And we can see the effects that we're having. Now the commission is showing -51 because we haven't updated the price we gave to the customer. Let's say that we gave them the same price. You can actually see we've removed our upcharge. So you can see upcharge discount is now 0. It was $79 before. But when you add a person, usually the commission goes up somewhat. So let's say the new commission is something like that. And you can see the new commission is lower than the old one because we were upcharging $79. So even though the commission has gone up from 121 to 148, the upcharge has gone down $80. So we would be losing money if we made a change such as this. Let's say we preserved the upcharge and we did $1,500. You could see now we're making some more money than we were before. So these are just a check against what the information you're entering, just to make sure you're getting the results you expect when you enter data in here. So let's go ahead and save this. Now let's say there was a promotion, and when you add a third person, they got a soda package with Royal Caribbean. So that would be an amenity that we'd want to add. So let's go ahead and click Modify on Amenities, and let's add a beverage package to passenger 3 here. Now, if you wanted to make the distinction that this was actually a soda package and not an alcohol package, this third person is a minor, and usually they don't offer alcohol packages for third passengers, you may not want to put it here. There's 2 ways you can go about doing this. You could add an invoice comment, which we'll show later, saying that, or you can use miscellaneous here. And all a miscellaneous amenity is, it just gives you the control. So we can just say, you can have as many of them as you like. We could say, okay, this passenger has a soda package. And you can see that's been added here. Since a miscellaneous item could be anything, if you want to review them, you just click that link and you can actually see the ones you've added already. Let's go ahead and save that. Now we've added a third person. Generally, they want an additional deposit for that. So let's go ahead and modify our balances now. We're going to add a payment. We've made another $250 payment. So we're going to go ahead and click Add. And this works just like you've seen it before already. And again, you're getting immediate feedback up here on the changes that you're making. Make sure they're right. Click Save. Now let's say we just wanted to add $10 onboard credit. We got a little more business from these people, and they're bringing a third person. So we want to buy some more onboard credit from them. Let's go ahead and do that now. So you can do that by clicking Modify here on Gifts. And you can see that we already had an onboard credit item here. So we're going to increase it from 25 to 35. And you can see there's a note here that says you can only have up to 2 gifts per booking. So you can't add a whole bunch, 12 bottles of wine for us to order. There's a limit to 2, and they can't cost more than half of the profit of the booking. So if you're spending, after the discount, more than half on a gift, you're going to need clearance from your team leader to go ahead and proceed with that sort of thing. So we're happy with this. So we're going to go ahead and click Save. We're going to get a confirmation again saying if you're buying a $35 onboard credit, that's going to cost you $17.50. Again, this user has a 50% commission in here. So we'll say, okay, that's fine. I'm going to click save. And you can see the commission has been updated in the total profit. Now, there's only one other thing I want to go over with this, and that is final payment date. So this is a really important field. We guess at the final payment date because there's so many factors that go into its calculation. Is it a gift? Is it how many nights is the sailing? That we use the longest possible one for that vendor, which is generally 120 days. It's probably longer than you want, but we prefer to be earlier rather than later because there are some nasty ramifications for paying late, such as cabins getting canceled and things like that. So make sure you pay attention to this date, and if you don't like it, you can change it. It's hyperlinked, so that means when we click on it, we're allowed to change it. So let's say it's actually due August 1st at the cruise line. This is when it's due at the cruise line. We'll go ahead and click that, click save, and that change has been saved. And we'll see that take effect on the invoice when we get to that in just a bit. So we're done making changes to our Royal Caribbean trip here. But now we need to modify the insurance policy in the hotel because now they cover this third person as well. So let's go ahead and take care of that. Let's go into this insurance policy and click edit. And we'll go ahead into passengers and click modify. We'll add. And there's the person we added before. And we'll save that. Now that person's been added to the policy and the premium has gone up. So let's say it's gone up to something like this. And the commission's gone up as well. There. And finally, let's show that payment. They're going to pay that insurance off. So we've got an additional payment here. And that balance due is $30.01, payments $30.01, save. And let's go ahead and add them to the hotel too. I'm not going to have too much commentary here because it's exactly the same. You should see a lot of repeating themes at this point. And go ahead and show that payment. And balance due is $20.61. Here we go. Now, let's go over these buttons here. You'll see this button you won't see for AM entry. This is for our administrators. So your login, you won't see this button. It's not something you're going to need to engage with. And this red asterisk inscription here, you're not going to see that either. But Add Insurance Quote is a handy device if you don't have insurance on the booking, but you want to give them a quote. This does increase sales if you take the time to do this. This booking does have insurance, so it would likely be out of place if we placed one here. But I'm just going to click it to show you how it works. Basically, we already know the type is going to be insurance, so we'll just show you all our insurance vendors. And you pick the product. In this case, Chubb has 3 different ones that you could choose. What passengers are going to be contained in that quote, and the amount of the insurance policy were they to purchase it. If you click save, it will appear on the invoice. I'm going to do that even though, again, this already has insurance on it, so it wouldn't likely exist on this booking, just so you can see what it looks like. Trip notes, these are notes for you. So anything you want to remember about this booking, you just want to add a note for yourself, go ahead and add it. Let's say we put something like this and click save. Anytime you go into this booking, you can click trip notes and you can see everything that you've typed in here over the time period, and that can be helpful. Finally, let's show you how to generate an invoice. Once you're sure all of this information is correct, click invoice, and you can see that you're provided with several options here. You'll always be given the option to do a top invoice comment. So this appears at the very top of the invoice. And then you'll have a line for every single booking. So you'll have at least one booking in every trip. This one has 3 bookings. It has the policy, the cruise, and the hotel. So you can add some language for each item. So let's say for the Anthem of the Seas, we wanted to add something like balcony is completely unobstructed. Our client really wanted to see that on the invoice. And let's say we just wanted to add a generic thank you so much for your business on the top. And let's say the insurance policy. I just want to give them a reminder that let's say I want to give them a reminder for the flight. We'll say remember to tell us your flight cost so we can cover it with this policy. Okay, now these will stay here. Once you generate them, they're saved. You don't have to type these in every time you want to generate an invoice. The system will remember them. So I'm going to go ahead and click generate. And this is the invoice. You can see here the top invoice comment. And this is the comment you used for the Royal Caribbean booking. We didn't do one for Expedia. And here's the comment we did with the insurance policy. If you had a quote, it would appear here, and this is what it would look like. And finally, the payment summary, which summarizes the payments by both the individual vendors. So you can see we don't owe anything for Expedia. We don't owe anything on Allianz. And we owe $750 for this Royal Caribbean reservation. And I want to point out this due date here. You can see it says July 18th. Note earlier we put August 1st because that was the cruise line's date that we entered. We at Cruise Brothers always add about 15 days to that date to ensure that we get the payment early. If the customer pays on the payment date, the cruise line's actual payment date, and there's an issue with the payment, the card declines or they decide last minute to mail in a check, they're in danger of having their cabin canceled, and we want adequate time to be able to handle those kinds of things. So that is why that date will be set backwards.